As writers, we all make mistakes, but how do we improve if we don't know we're making these mistakes? That's why in today's video I've put together the top 7 mistakes amateur writers make so that you can learn from them and avoid them. Let's get started! Hey guys, Nour here and welcome back to my channel! And for those visiting for the first time, hello! I'm the fantasy author of the novel Divinity Falling. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe for weekly writing advice videos. Let's dive into the 7 mistakes amateur writers make. When it comes to new writers, something they frequently do is either over-explain something or under-explain it. In other words, they often assume that the reader won't get a point, and so they go on and on trying to explain something which only bores readers or makes them feel offended. Or they forget that the reader can't get inside the author's head, and so they don't explain something important, leaving the reader confused. Both of these are bad. Don't go overboard, and don't forget to mention the important things so that the reader isn't lost. Another mistake amateur writers make is writing exposition dumps. You know, this is where they vomit a lot of details on the page so that the reader can get a sense of the world. The problem with this is that it's boring and feels like filler. Plus, dumping a lot of information at once at the reader is overwhelming. Pick a few details that are important to share now and save the others for the rest of the book. Sharing the remaining details as you write other chapters is a good idea. Another mistake I've recently noticed new writers make is writing unnecessary prologues. These unnecessary prologues often serve no purpose. The writer often thinks they need one because they've seen other books with prologues, but if that's the only reason you have one in your book, then you probably don't need one. These unnecessary prologues often read like a bio paper, where they summarize some random facts about the main character or some other filler content. So cut these out, they don't interest anyone. Next, we have unnecessary one-off characters. This is another big mistake amateur writers make. Usually they start their book excited to explore everything, and they set their story with a lot of characters, thinking that those characters will come in handy. But a problem with that is that a lot of those initial characters are just filler and don't add value to the story. Now, keep in mind, this is a mistake all writers make. The difference between proficient writers and amateur writers, though, is the fact that proficient writers remove these unnecessary one-off characters when they edit their book. Which brings me to the next mistake. Writers believing they don't need an editor or that they don't need to go through several drafts of their writing. If proficient writers need to rewrite and edit their book, then new writers definitely need to rewrite and edit their book. You're not immune to mistakes, I promise you. Another amateur mistake is rushing a romantic subplot. Now, don't get me wrong, stories that have high stakes and push characters to get to know each other fast are often the exception to this rule. They can have characters fall in love fast, because everything else around them is happening fast too. But this only happens under specific circumstances, and most stories aren't the exception. And finally, another mistake amateur writers make is not having good plot twists, making their story too predictable. If readers can guess your entire plot just from reading a few chapters, then you need to rethink your story and add some clever plot twists. So that's all I have for you today. I'd love to know, which of these mistakes do you struggle with the most? Let me know in the comments. And if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. I put out weekly writing advice videos that will take your story to the next level. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media to see what I'm up to from day to day and to chat with me. And before we go, I just want to give a quick shout out to Sarah Frame, Lori B, and Alan J. Early from my shout out tier over on Patreon, as well as all my amazing patrons. Thank you all so much for your support. I really appreciate it. And remember, Nour for president!